Protesters are gathering in Amsterdam to protest against the arrival of refugees and against immigrants because they say they are being blamed for all the problems in the Netherlands.
Okay, so recently there were protests in Netherlands. There are protests now all over Europe. Like, this looks like a weekly occurrence. If you go anywhere in Europe, like almost every week, they are protesting immigrations. They are protesting, asylum seekers. There are protests throughout Europe. Now, in Netherlands, we're going to cover Netherlands today because they have an election coming very, very soon. And there are some people who are saying immigration is out of control and they want, these immigrants to be stopped, to be kicked out, and all those things. So today our focus is Netherlands. We're gonna see this video and we're gonna see also asylum seekers, their process in Netherlands. Enough talking, let's continue.
If you look at our village, there are not many houses there. If houses that are empty go to refugees, then we have no chance and we have to look elsewhere, while we want to stay in our village.
Only a few refugees receive houses, but we see developments going in the wrong direction. We are not racist, we're not extremist. We only want to be heard.
Okay, so as you can see, if you don't know, there is a housing issue in Netherlands. There is a huge housing problem in Netherlands. Many people, like I saw a video of students who are sleeping on a train station with tents because the housing situation is crazy in Netherlands. It's almost as bad as, the UK, very, very bad housing market. So when they see asylum seekers and, refugees being, housed in places, it triggers them. And that is why some of them are saying, they are not racist, they are not this. But even if a few of them say they're not racist or not, there's always, some shady characters who go in this protest. You're going to see in this video those shady characters, some white supremacists. They always somehow end up in this in this protest. But anyway, let's continue with the video. It's a very short video, and then immediately we're gonna go to see an asylum seeker who was being interviewed, how the process is for them. Let's continue.
In recent weeks, we have seen many protests against asylum seeker centers across the country, sometimes quite violent. And a few weeks ago, there was also a big mass rally in The Hague with the same groups attending, which turned into a full-blown riot. A police car was set on fire and a party office was attacked. And the intelligence services here in the Netherlands are warning that these far-right groups, extremist right groups, including neo-Nazis, are getting more and more violent.
Okay, so this was in, Amsterdam. I have been to Amsterdam. I was in Amsterdam last year, and I know it's gonna annoy people when I say this, especially people from Amsterdam, but I have to be honest. Amsterdam is one of the most overrated places I've ever been to in my life. I'm sorry to say, but it is what I think. Amsterdam is one of the most overrated places I have been to in my life. I mean, the museums are good. There are a couple of museums, Van Gogh, and others. Those are cool and everything. But that's besides the point. The point is, these protests are being infiltrated by white supremacists, by neo-Nazis. Actually, I don't know if I can say that without YouTube, messing up with this video. So anyway, enough of my rambling. I promise I won't ramble anymore. Let's watch the video and then we go to another one.
The words that you hear now in Parliament would have never been used 15 years ago. So if you create a climate like that in Parliament, then for the people in the streets, fear, hate and violence is next. Fear sells better than hope and solutions. Solutions are boring, but telling people that all the asylum seekers will rape your children, that sells.
I have to say this is a very unusual sight, far-right protesters marching through the Dutch capital, even carrying a flag which was used by the Nazi party in the Netherlands during World War II. And this is also probably a sign of the time, the political climate changing here in the Netherlands, and the largest party still the far-right party of Geert Wilders polling highest ahead of the elections, despite the fact that his party was part of the government which collapsed twice. So mainstream parties are struggling to find answers to the growing anti-immigration sentiments.
Yeah, the whole world is going to shit. As you can see now, you can see they are even marching with the flags from, you know, those time periods. And it's crazy, the amount. Like right now, the far right is polling the highest in Netherlands. But let's go now a couple of months before all this protest and see how an asylum seeker, the process they had to go through, the things they had to undergo when they're trying to enter Netherlands. Let's just go to the next clip.
These gates and this patch of grass are well known to new arrivals in the Netherlands. We are just outside the registration centre in Ter Apel. Any asylum seeker who arrives over land to the Netherlands needs to register here first. As a result, it's often full, and then priority is given to women and children.
They just tell us to wait. Maybe they will come and take us inside, or maybe we'll sleep here. We don't know.
But it's a far cry from the summer of 2022, when hundreds of asylum seekers slept on the same field in front of the centre. Abdelkader arrived yesterday and spent the night in a nearby gymnasium, as there was no room for him here.
Okay, so as you can see, they've been doing it from back to 2022. There was, like, I think that was the peak. There were a lot of asylum seekers in the same center, but there was only one processing center. Right now, there is no more room. The process is getting harder and harder for asylum seekers in Netherlands, but that is still not enough. You are seeing people in the streets protesting more and more, even though the process for asylum seekers themselves is hard. But for the locals, the Dutch people, they don't like it. But let's continue.
Since his departure from Syria a few months ago, this 26-year-old has set his sights on building a new life in the Netherlands. He hasn't heard of the recent asylum plans of the government, including restrictions on family reunification and new rules to bring down the success rate of applications.
I chose to come here. How can I change my mind? The Netherlands is a European country, just like Germany or Austria. We chose the Netherlands because it's a safe country and it's a country where you can live in freedom.
Now, sorry I keep on pausing. It's just these things. Okay, what I wanted to say is this guy, the words he's using, you know, like I chose Netherlands because it's this and this. Those are the things that the far right uses to say these people should not be allowed in. Because if you are truly an asylum seeker and, you know, you go to the first country that provides you safety. So in this case, he's from Syria, I believe. The first country that would provide him safety most likely will be Turkey. And, you know, the neighboring countries, but somehow he ended up in Netherlands. He says he chose it. So those type of words, those are the things that make these far-right people go to the streets, and they get support also. Because people saying that these are not genuine asylum seekers, these are actually like economic migrants. Now, let's just continue with this video. I've given up. I've interrupted enough. So please, guys, be calm. I won't interrupt again. Let's just watch the video.
But Abdelkader will have to wait. Some people here are starting to question how the Netherlands asylum process is organised. Why do all applicants need to register at this single location?
We have asylum centres throughout the whole country. Normally we still have space to bring people there. That's the way it's supposed to work. People arrive in Ter Apel and then, after a certain time, move on to another asylum centre in another location. But those other asylum centres are completely full.
The Prime Minister sees it as part of a bigger issue.
Asylum status holders cannot leave the reception centres because the housing market is stuck. The asylum chain is completely stuck. People have to wait too long for their applications to be processed. So there is urgency to take action, and this cannot be up for discussion.
27,000 people received asylum in the Netherlands last year, 2,500 less than in 2022. But the extreme right, which was the biggest winner in the last elections and part of the ruling coalition, recently tried to invoke an asylum crisis.
I would like the asylum emergency law. That's my route.
This controversial project has been shelved, but the government is still looking to expedite the implementation of these measures. Many experts believe this is primarily about a problem the authorities have created themselves.
It's more a management crisis than an asylum crisis, as the government has delayed decisions for a couple of years now. There have been big problems in the reception centers. There are too little places, but it's not because of an increase of asylum seekers, but it's of a mismanagement of the Dutch government.
The latest data show that the Netherlands receives around the European average of asylum applications per year. Meanwhile, a lot of asylum seekers are worried, especially those who've been waiting for several years.
Well done. You're doing so good. I'm proud of you.
17-year-old Sarah lives in this asylum centre with her two little sisters, grandmother and parents. She arrived in the Netherlands from Iraq 10 years ago, but is still waiting to get a residence permit. A similar case of a minor who was threatened with deportation dominated headlines here over the summer.
It's not good. You don't want to experience that as a child. I grew up in the Netherlands. I'm rooted in the Netherlands. And yet, I don't know what my future holds. My studies could be stopped. The Netherlands is my country. I see myself more as a Dutch person than an Iraqi.
People like Sarah could be affected by what the Dutch authorities are calling the strictest asylum policy the country has ever seen.
Yeah, so that's basically the video. As you can see, there are some asylum seekers who have been waiting for years and years, like the Iraqi girl, who for some reason the news company decided to show the big giant cross and everything, even, Mary, mother of Jesus, to make sure that in case you are not sure, that she is not a Muslim, she is a Christian, because right now there is a huge anti-Islam movement in Europe. So they wanted to show that at least for her, she is adopted, she's a Christian, and she's waiting, and she feels more Dutch than others. So that's the issue. So I'm looking forward to see what happens in this election. Will the far right win? What's going to happen? Will the protests continue even if the far right wins? Or what's going to happen if it's going to be full the way it's happening here in America, where they're just going to be kicking out people and stuff? Let's just wait and see. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think the protests are genuine, they are fine, they should go protest for their country, it is their right and everything, it's not racist? Let me know in the comment. Or let me know also if you think these protests are all a mask. These people are racist, they want them out. Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, subscribe, and of course share this on all the networks. I'll see ya.
Oh my goodness, all the networks! Wow! All the networks!